Evening, I have 7 o'clock, so I'll call this meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order. Roll call, please, Heather.
Alderman Foreman.
Here.
Alderman Lee.
Here.
Alderman Magley.
Here.
Alderman Volrath. Alderman Ward.
Here.
Alderman Wilkins.
All right. I do have word that both Alderman Volrath and Wilkins will not be here tonight. So we do have a quorum. Official business can take place. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have some folks in the audience tonight that'd like to adjust their agenda if it's okay with the board. I have an appointment to make this evening. New part-time police officer, Taylor Tarwater. Give Larry and Taylor an opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Thank you. This is Taylor Tarwater. We'd like to get him sworn in tonight as a part-time officer. Well, I'll let you address the mayor and the council and tell them a little bit about yourself and who these hitchhikers were that you picked up around what. Okay?
So I'm Taylor Tarwater, and it's my parents and my girlfriend Emily. And I worked in Clark Police Department for about 4 months. And I just had heard that Centralia Police Department was a great place to work, so I thought I'd apply. And
There you go. There you go.
Who you gonna talk to?
So,
How do you spell your last name?
Tarwater.
his mother there, correct me if I'm wrong, but his mother works at Centralia Vet Clinic for Dr. Farmer.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
Where did you go to, LETI or
Oh, I went in Mobley.
in Mobley? Okay. All right. A motion would be in order to approve.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to approve the mayor's appointment of Taylor Tarwater to the position of part-time police officer. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Heather will swear you in.
Come over here, Taylor. Yeah, swear him in right there. You guys can take a picture right there. James will.
You could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Taylor Tarwater,
I, Taylor Tarwater,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the Constitution of the State of Missouri
and the ordinances of the City of Centralia,
and the ordinances of the City of Centralia,
and that I will faithfully demean myself
and that I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of part-time police officer
in the office of part-time police officer
of said city to the best of my ability,
of said city to the best of my ability,
according to law, so help me God.
according to law, so help me God.
Need a pen? Thank you.
Oh. And just for the council, we'll be bringing Taylor in at the base pay grade, and also the start date will be today.
Yes, please. Please, just for the council to know, he'll be riding with Night Commander Harris
Okay.
for the next several days, kind of get him up and running. And so we think we have all the equipment ready for him, with the exception of maybe some pants that might actually fit him, but other than that, we'll get by pretty good. So we're all glad to have him, and it means a lot to me that his folks and girlfriend are here tonight. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all very kindly.
Welcome aboard. What's that? Where did you go to high school?
Oh, Dagman in Columbia.
Okay, cool. All right.
That's okay.
Man, you should have told me that before.
Yeah. So,
No, that's all right. We won't hold that against you.
All right, I'm gonna let Sergeant Bellman and the other officers take it back and get that stuff. Let's get a picture, Joe, for his commission card.
All right, y'all have a good evening. Thank you for coming in. Back on the schedule here, the consent agenda. Y'all have the information in your packet.
Jason, folks are gonna go over to.
Adopting the agenda with the edit that you need.
Thank you all very kindly.
Any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as written. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Thank you. Accounts payable over $12.50. Any questions on that? In your packet, it should be on page 27.
Make a motion to approve accounts payable over $12.50 in the amount of $449,732.44.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve accounts payable over $12.50 in the amount of $449,732.44. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Alright. Comments from citizens? Hearing none, I'll close that. Economic development report from the chamber. You had a lot of information in your packet.
They did have to cancel their meeting. It was scheduled for last week. They moved it to yesterday, and then they canceled it because of the snow.
Okay.
There was a fair quorum, if anybody didn't make it with that quorum.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Looks like the preliminary Anchor Fest schedule is coming along pretty good. Do they know who's singing the national anthem yet?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Just 6 p.m. on Friday night, so.
Got no idea.
Okay.
But they're just doing the first verse.
Come on. Okay.
We're gonna change it up to the third verse.
All right, thank you very much. Public hearings, none scheduled, is that still the case?
That is still the case.
All right, same thing for finance and permits and licenses. Legal. Authorizing the city administrator to notify Illinois Power Marketing by letter that the city of Centralia has decided to terminate the letter of agreement of March 20th, 2014 regarding the sale of 1 megawatt of capacity from Prairie State Generating Company. I think it's 0.1.
Yeah.
0.1. Okay. 0.1 megawatt capacity. To satisfy Centralia's MISO PRM requirement for MISO planning year 2015-2016. Require a motion to proceed.
Both this item and the next item consider the necessary allotment of our power capacity to meet the new standards for excess capacity or reserve capacity. This is known as the planning reserve margin. That's the PRM. So, and since we're buying all our power through a full requirements contract with the company that you probably know as, or remember as Ameren Energy Marketing, they then became Illinois Power Marketing, and then were purchased by Dynergy. So, whichever name you prefer. I think the contract, the letter was with Illinois Power Marketing, and our bills come from Illinois Power Marketing. Anyway, the requirement has been increased from 6% above our capacity to 7.1% above our capacity limit. Our total capacity, maximum capacity is 11 megawatts for the year starting June 1. MISO, the Midwest Independent System Operators, and I may have that. I think it's Mid-Continent now. They changed their name because they added some states to the south. Based on federal requirements, they had to increase, in their modeling, they decided that to make sure that everybody has enough power reserved, they were going to increase that margin. So if something goes out unexpectedly, we'll still have our 11 megawatts, and everybody else in the grid will have their allotment of power. So we signed a letter of agreement with Dynergy or IPM to secure those credits to cover that additional margin, that going from 6 to 7.1%. And last March we made those agreements to pay them a dollar figure of about $6,000. This first letter gets us out of that deal. So we are now, they are now agreeing to accept part of our Prairie State capacity, about 0.2 megawatts to be precise, and then it goes, if you go more decimal points back, it works out. Anyway, they're agreeing to accept part of our Prairie State capacity to secure that margin, and they have to be within what MISO calls our zone, and our zone is number 4, so they have to be zonal resource credits. It has to be, and so we have these allotted credits in our zone. I'm trying to avoid too many acronyms, but so this first letter gets us out of that agreement, and the second letter is an offer from IPM Dynergy. The second is an offer that IPM Dynergy has indicated that they will accept from us to cover that PRM requirement with the Prairie State Power. So the first one gets us out of our existing agreement. The second one replaces it with Prairie State Power. And later in the meeting, I'll talk about the remaining capacity and sale of it. This is a must-do. We have to cover that planning reserve margin. In other words, have excess capacity reserved, so in case we lose. They think that it's unlikely that we will need more than 7.1% of our, or the system at large will need. It's unlikely that the system at large will need more than 7.1% of capacity beyond what they have reserved. Does that make some sense?
So 7.1% over our maximum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. So they need to make sure it's out there somewhere. So based on their models, that's about as, within however many nines, 0.999% likelihood that they'll have enough power. So that's what these two letters are about. And I'm just asking you to give me the authority to sign for the city to get us out of. This is a resource. So basically, we're trading resources out. It's like swapping a JCB backhoe for a cab or whatever models you want.
I'm assuming that there are dire consequences if we do not do this.
Well, if we don't do these two things, we'll have to pay the $6,000 or so. If we do them, then what we already own in Prairie State will cover that cost. So we save about $6,000. So it's really no reason not to.
So do we need to take these on motion separately, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I have a motion for number 1.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to authorize the city administrator to notify Illinois Power Marketing by letter that we have decided to terminate the letter of agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and number 2.
I make a motion that we authorize item number 2.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second that we authorize the city administrator to notify Illinois Power Marketing by letter the city of Centralia has decided to utilize 0.2 megawatts of capacity from Prairie State to satisfy our MISO requirements. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Proceed.
Okay, the third item is an agreement, is an ordinance to authorize an agreement, a lease agreement with Cellnet Technologies. Cellnet is working with Landis Gear to provide them with the remote read technology, smart meters, if you will. Landis Gear is a contractor for Ameren Gas to read their meters. I sent Cellnet the contract just last Friday, and that was not sufficient time for them to review the contract. Therefore, I'm asking that the board maybe just give this a first read for a final read and adoption at the next meeting, which later on I'm going to ask that we do that on March 2nd for the Prairie State sale. We might as well get rid of both of these. My understanding is that Cellnet should be able to get through their comments. Their lawyers are looking at it. Because their agreement, we wanted to make a couple of very minor changes and put in contact information, which, so they're going to look over that. The other part that we didn't have this morning still was the exact location for the poles. So between now and March 2nd, we'll get that together. But so we would amend the agreement between now and then. But if you want to give it a first read, that way, you know, if we recess instead of adjourn the meeting, which I hope we do, we could adopt it the next meeting.
Which will be the first meeting in March.
Yeah, March 2nd.
All right.
So if you give me some help on how to word that, I'll make that motion.
Well, actually, it's a ordinance, requires 2 readings. So, if you would like to introduce this one for its first reading.
And then second, then for
And
second
then
reading.
the second reading will wait until the 2nd of March.
All right.
2737.
I move that bill number 2737 be given its first reading by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that bill number 2737 be given its first reading by title only. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Continue, please.
A bill creating an ordinance titled authorizing the mayor of the city of Centralia, Missouri to enter into an agreement with Cellnet Technology, Inc., Cumberland, Missouri for permission to attach equipment to the city of Centralia's utility pole.
Okay, and I guess a motion to table the second reading until the next meeting.
If we need to do that, yeah. Is it?
Is everyone okay with that, or?
I'll make a motion that we table this until next meeting.
Second.
Okay, a motion second to table the second reading until the next meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Do you need a date specific to make that perfect?
I don't think so. Then we'll recess this meeting,
Right, okay.
and so the next meeting will be March 2nd, and that'll be the
Yes,
second.
I'm, if
And provided
Mayor's happy
everything,
on
It's fine, it's fine.
provided everything lines up and
Right, gotcha.
all the T's are crossed and I's dotted, then we'll give it the second reading.
Yeah.
If something falls through with that, then
We'll end up with our eyes
Table it
crossed and our
again.
T's dotted.
yes. Something like that.
Something like that.
All right. Any further discussion on the action agenda?
We'll do
Purchasing.
it. This is pretty simple. We received 3 bids for 6,200 feet of primary overhead wire, sometimes known as butternut, for reasons that I can't explain.
Okay.
The lowest price was offered by HD Supply, and the staff recommends that we award the bid to them for $1,395.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the bid from HD Supply for overhead primary wire. The amount of $1,395. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I just wanted to point out here that primary is misspelled on that.
It's actually primary.
Primary. Primary. Just making a note.
We'll make sure we get the right kind of wire.
Okay. I just wasn't sure what kind of wire that was.
I saw that after it was printed.
Okay. I didn't mean to call you out on that, sorry.
Okay, I was going to, you have it.
Do we have a project already for this wire? Is this cobblestone, phase 3 cobblestone?
I think it sort of replaces our stock that we used for that. Mark has told me the answer to that question. I don't have it right at the moment. You remember? We discussed it at our Wednesday meeting.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the answer was.
No, I think it was just to replenish stock.
That's kind of as I remember it too.
Okay. All right, old business, sale of remaining Prairie State capacity.
I'm going to try to do this with 3 acronyms or fewer. So there is a agreement attached in the agenda, but it is not nearly the final agreement, so I'm not asking that you guys study it in depth, but it's going to look, in fact, we'll probably end up with 2 separate agreements. We've been working with the Mid-Missouri group, which primarily Hannibal and Cahokia. Between the 3 of us, we have 17.5 megawatts of capacity that is not required in Prairie State that we don't need in for any other reason. We already have a full requirements contract with Ameren or IPM in Illinois Power Marketing, which did not take into consideration this capacity because at the time, and I'm being a little redundant because you guys have heard this. Prairie State wasn't online. So TEA, the Energy Authority, had showed interest in it and offered $1.45. And $1.45 is per kilowatt per month, works out to, for our sakes, about $14,000. $14,000 for the portion that they are now willing to buy. Right now, they're only guaranteeing that they can market 9.5 megawatts of the 17.5 of the whole group, which works out to about 0.8 megawatts of our capacity. And we have about 1.5 to sell because we started with 2. They only give us credit for about 80% of that, and then we're giving that sliver to IPM to cover that planning margin. So what's left, we're going to put into the market in an auction, in the MISO auction, or sell it to, or the other option we could do is sell it to somebody, and the Energy Authority wants 9.5 of megawatts definitely, and Bob Harbour, who's been our negotiating agent on all this, is trying to get them to take more. We have an offer from AEP at $1 per kilowatt. And we think that if that doesn't work, we may be able to sell it to another player in the market who would pay at least $1. So what we're looking at right now is about $22,450 roughly. If we go through with this agreement, it'd probably actually be 2 agreements, one with TEA and the other with either AEP, a company that is out of Columbus, Ohio, that's making a bid for our whole 3-year package along the big deal. Or there's a possibility NPOA might be interested. And then there was another one today, and Bob Harbour sent me an email, and it is on the tip of my tongue, but Nextera is the name of the company. Another company that's been in the bidding for our big package. So we're looking at about $22,000 of found money. Put this in perspective, our monthly Prairie State bill with everything added in and all the sales out last year was about $53,000. So it's not even half of a month of Prairie State, but it's something. And our monthly bill last year for power, when you put everything in, transmission capacity, MISO charges, everything, was about $205,000 a month. So there's about 1/10 of a percent. It's about 10% of a monthly bill, but it's still something.
And this is AEP Energy Company?
That's one of the people who might be bidding for the remaining piece after the Energy Authority, also TEA, or T or TEA is their acronym. I'm getting close. I think I'm over my 3 acronym limit.
I think so, I was gonna count.
But anyway, so the MISO auction, you have to have what you're going to put in the MISO auction by about, I think it's March 17th is the deadline. In order to finalize the agreements and everything, that's why I would like to recess the meeting, because even though it's just $22,000, I hate to lose that because we missed the deadline. So we would bring something back by March 2nd. Probably have it ready by the end of the week, but obviously I'm not going to have. It's not worth calling a special meeting for. And the good news is that somehow I'm going to be out of words pretty soon. So I'm going to end my discussion of item 9A at that point. So there's no action necessary at this point.
All right, more of a FYI.
Except for hopefully we're going to recess the meeting. That's it.
Okay.
Is this, just curiosity, is this something that you said Bob Harbour, he's our consultant guy? Was this one of his ideas, or was this?
He's been carrying the water, but I think, to be honest, it was Bob Stevenson and Hannibal who really kind of came up with the idea. I'd love to take credit for it, but you probably don't. Not that smart on this stuff yet, anyway. But he was, he first mentioned it, and it seemed like a good idea. I mean, we're going to get a bigger bill from Bob because of all the time we spent on it, but it's not going to be $22,000. Our last bill was $620. So it's. I definitely think it's worth it. I'm prepared to move on.
All right. Thank you very much. New business. We already made the appointment of part-time police officer. Matt has asked that I appoint an ad hoc committee for selecting a consulting engineer for the Jefferson Street sidewalk project. So after talking to Matt, I'd like to appoint myself, Matt, Don, and Phil,
Well,
and Landon to this committee.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else interested in sitting on that committee?
I think if we add another alderman, we have a quorum, so
Okay.
it's to avoid having to
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions on that? If not, the motion to accept the ad hoc committee will be in order.
So moved.
Second.
So a motion and a second to accept the mayor's ad hoc committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? For the sidewalk project. All right, any aldermen have new business? Let's go around the table. Landon? Anybody? All right. Matt?
I had 3 quick items. Yeah, let's see. First one, we just informational. We last Wednesday, Mike Forsey and I met with the 3 families that cooperate with the city on our land application system with the sewer department, and I hope to have an agreement for the board's approval, maybe by the March 2nd meeting, but definitely by the March 16th meeting. I'd like to get it done by March 2nd because we're going to have a lot on the March 16th. But really don't anticipate any problems. The meeting went very well. We probably have to accelerate our level of equipment replacing, since we're still working with a lot of the original equipment. from the 1985 agreement that, you know, the system went in place about 86, 87, something like that. I mean, the first agreement was signed in 85. May have even gone into place before that. But I know I wasn't here. I was out of high school, but I wasn't here. We, in particular, we may need to start buying some tires. If we went with the same 16 or R16 or tire that we're using now, to replace the set in 7 years, which is estimated about how long they're going to hold out, would be about $13,000 a year, because they're about $600 a tire, and you got, you know, 2 sets on each end of each. We got 9. We've got 9 pivots. No, I said there's 2 tires at each pivot, and there's 8 pivots with 10 heads, and 1 with 14. So anyway, it works out. But we might be able to buy a smaller tire that might work quite well, and even replacing the Mike and the farmers believe that they're far enough apart, and even if you just replaced one of the 2 tires, you could put a 14 with a 16 thing would still roll just fine. So there may be some cheaper options, and that may not come out to be that much, or even nearly that much.
Did you say $13,000 a year?
Yeah.
Are they sure that it would roll? I mean, I hate to buy these tires and then they're not roll. I mean, what's the percentage of it are sure? So,
70% sure, or
They
90%?
97.86% sure. Just gauging from the discussion. But you know, it might be worth it to try it. But going from, I think it is, right now we're using 8-ply tires at 16 radius, and these have lasted, well, 30 years. But to go to 14 with 6-ply, you save, it's half the cost. It's got to work though. But so we're going to look at those options, but that's a budgeting issue. It's not a contract issue. And there's a couple other things, and we just went over what are the expectations as they're sent out in the contract and the actual on-the-ground reality, and making sure they're as close as possible. But it was a very positive meeting, there's working on with the 3rd generation in one family, and at least the 2nd generation in the other 2 families, and it's everybody's happy.
You tried on one to make sure it was going to work before you went and invested.
Yeah.
It's kind of deplorable that these things have only lasted for 30 years, so.
Yeah.
Tires don't last longer than that.
You just see how many miles they go on. I can calculate the number of hours.
why don't they run steel wheels on them?
That was something else that we discussed.
I mean, what's the cost difference in steel and rubber? Is it a big difference?
We haven't looked at the price of steel wheels, but it did come up. It did
I
come
don't know
up.
how they drive, so I
I
don't.
mean, steel wheels will probably get a better longer life.
I would guess.
Well,
I mean, a rubber tire you got 30 years, you think.
Well, I don't know, it depends on how much moisture and all that stuff, and
Well,
how fast it would rust, and, yeah.
Well, the 30-year-old tires are probably made substantially natural rubber. The ones we buy now are, they're not going to be made with natural rubber. They'll be synthetic rubber. And the general consensus was you can't expect another 30 years out of the next set of tires.
Right.
Do they make
I would
aluminum
assume that they would.
wheels?
I don't know. Steel came up. I don't know about aluminum.
Can be changed.
Yeah, aluminum would be all right. It wouldn't rust.
Aluminum should last a lot longer.
Yeah.
Probably be more expensive. But if you got the life out of them,
Initially, yeah.
the initial cost.
But metal wheels did come up. So
Okay.
we'll be looking at, and that's going to be a budgeting issue more than it's not going to affect the contract, but it's just sort of, if there were any storm clouds on the horizon at all, it would have to do with some discussions that Mike had. He went down to a training session recently with DNR, and their concern over letting the farmers farm. I'll say it that way. That when the cities put municipal treated or partially treated water from the wastewater system into a sewer or municipal wastewater effluent. I'm trying to use the word. We're not putting the sewer water into people's crops. It's been treated. Their concern is that if they leave this running at night, something might break down, stop in one place, and get runoff. So that is the biggest concern. However, most of the farmers are already using technology using GIS technology to alert them if something's going wrong. Dial their phone, wake them up. This is not, the farmers from 1930. These guys this is a business and they run it pretty darn efficiently. So that would be that's our biggest fear with this system. Otherwise, I see this has lasted, in the third generation of farmers. Yeah. I see it going on for a long time. The staff that Al and Lynn and Mike and the people who have set this up have gotten a really good relationship as well as a good technical system. So you should look for that. That should be coming up. So. The second thing, we have a couple legislative alerts. One from the MML on Senate Bill 222. This bill would require cities to pay relocation costs for telecom infrastructure in the right-of-way. It bans political subdivisions from requiring or necessitating the removal or relocation of infrastructure owned by a communications service provider lawfully located in certain areas unless the political subdivision agrees to pay the infrastructure owner reasonable costs of removal or relocation, et cetera, et cetera.
Isn't there a state law that says that the state can't pass on unfunded mandates to cities and counties?
We don't pay attention to that.
So we can bill the state for this. If they force us to pay for it, we can just bill the state for it because it's an unfunded mandate.
It depends upon how well you write it. If you say that the city is forcing this action upon them, and that we've been asking for, people want, speaking in broad terms, people like underground utilities. It's prettier, it's better aesthetically, it
Holds up better in a storm.
Holds up better in a windstorm or an ice storm, generally we've moved, like most progressive cities, we've moved to try to keep our utilities underground, especially new subdivisions. So basically they don't want to pay anything to do that. They've got good lobbyists, and they're trying to get that passed. So anyways, MML is concerned about that, and I think we should be too.
Yeah. And so MML is asking citizens and municipal leaders to contact the legislature.
Tell them not to be stupid.
Tell them, yeah, uphold the laws that we got.
I'm sure that'll come out better in the minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, so Senate Bill 222 is one that MML has asked us to be on alert for. And the MPUA, Missouri Public Utility Alliance, sent a legislative action alert on Senate Bill 266, which prohibits municipalities from providing a service provided by a private business within the boundaries of the municipality without a vote of the people. Originally, this was dedicated at the idea of not letting cities compete in the broadband market if somebody was providing something that was considered broadband in their community. It has drawn opposition from Google, Microsoft, Netflix, and others, so it's not the way it's drafted, it could impact sewer lateral programs, trash service, public-private partnerships, tree trimming, snow removal, street maintenance. So it's drafted, some people believe, so broadly that if the private sector can provide it, we shouldn't be doing it. So
Probably not. In other words, this is another one of those stupid ideas. Sorry, but.
I mean, I don't think anybody here is going to disagree that it's good that the private sector is usually the best at providing innovation in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you're in Centralia and you're not necessarily the best, the most attractive place to provide infrastructure, whether it be electric, trash, or broadband internet, sometimes cities step up and provide a better service at a better price than would be available, and make sure that everybody gets served.
Which is not necessarily the case otherwise.
And that's the reason why cities get into it. So anyway, so that's Senate Bill 266. So Senate Bill 222 is the one about the right-of-way, and Senate Bill 266 is the Senate Bill 266. Actually, I think Senate Bill 222 had a hearing today. Senate Bill 266 is having a hearing tomorrow at 1. I'm not planning to go down and represent the city unless you guys order me to do so. But if you guys would like, I can forward those to you if you haven't already got them.
I don't know that we've gotten the one on Mapua,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll forward that
but I
on.
believe we did from MML.
Mm-hmm.
They still don't love us down in Jeff City.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I guess that is it. You guys, I mean, if you guys do want me to do anything about those kind of things, let me know. I've got, I wouldn't stray from the talking points of our associations that we are members of.
Right.
But
Okay.
I'm not looking for glory or enemies.
All right.
Right, I'm done.
Merritt? Nothing? All right. Heather? Nothing? Any as may arise? I have one, but go ahead.
Picture that you're gonna see passed around is that of a young man who came by the police department just to get some of those stickers that we get and hand out.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted a couple extra. Okay. And, that picture and that handwritten note from that young man was on my desk this morning, came in yesterday. It's one of the things that keep you coming back as police chief. There's not much else, but that's one of the things that makes you come back for more.
Were we able to collect a licensing fee for him for these things on those?
I think it'd be fine. I gave him a car, I think, here.
All right.
But he won those trophies that you'll see him with. He put those stickers on his pine wood derby car. It's just the best.
All right.
Very good. Very good.
All right.
The other cars didn't just pull over out of.
I don't know.
It's okay.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Finally, this evening, I'd like to make a quick comment about, y'all received an email earlier today about Chester Fritsch, who passed away on the 15th. Chester has served many years on the cemetery board. So I did go over to his memorial tonight over at Flint Funeral Home, and the funeral service is tomorrow. at 11 a.m. Have the information here if anybody's interested in it. So, our condolences to his family and friends.
He was a long-time MoDOT employee, run that shed over at Mexico for ever,
Years, yeah.
until they.
Yeah.
And run the one there here in town.
And he run the one here, yeah,
Yeah,
and came here.
yeah. He was 84 years old. So, any further as it arises? Or anything else? So, motion be in order to recess until March 2nd. As collected by.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second, we recess the meeting until March 2nd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?